Today, as we're doing, we're going to put us up on Twitch. See, there we go, Twitch. See if we can log in on Facebook. I don't see us coming up on YouTube. That's showing me that I'm broadcasting on YouTube. We shall see. Friday on the Mighty Met. No, I'm doing the other one on Newswire on Facebook, Twitch, and I don't know if we're up on YouTube. It's not showing me if I am. See if we're on. See if we made it up on Facebook today. Lots to cover today. Hopefully, we'll have Jenny Merrifield on to update us on reopening the schools in California. We'll have that coming on later in the hour. Javier Baccaria. He just got nominated to HHS Secretary by Joe Biden, confirmed by the Senate. We'll have a little bit of goings-on there. Governor Ron DeSantis also coming up in a little bit. The first one I want to get to is a little exchange on the Senate floor between two doctors. Dr. Rand Paul, senator from Kentucky, and Dr. Anthony Fauci, world famous or so-called famous, or thinks he's a big expert on COVID and everything else. They had a little exchange at the hearings today, so we're going to see if we can play that here in a second. So here we go.
There is no evidence that there are significant reinfections after a vaccine. In fact, I don't think we have a hospitalization in the United States after the 2-week period after the second vaccination. We don't have a death in the United States.
You're not hearing what I'm saying about variants. We're talking about wild type versus variants.
And what proof is there that there are significant reinfections with hospitalizations and death from the variants? None in our country. Zero.
Well, because we don't have a prevalent of a variant yet. We're having one, can I finish? We're having 117 that's becoming more dominant.
Your policy based on conjecture.
No,
it
isn't based on conjecture.
Variants, so you want people to wear a mask for another couple years.
No.
You've been vaccinated and you parade around in 2 masks for show.
No.
You can't get it again. There's virtually 0% chance you're going to get it, and yet you're telling people that have had the vaccine, who have immunity. You're defying everything we know about immunity by telling people to wear a mask who've been vaccinated. No. Instead, you should be saying there is no science to say we're going to have a problem from the large number of people being vaccinated. You want to get rid of vaccine hesitancy? Tell them they can quit wearing their mask after they get the vaccine. You want people to get the vaccine? Give them a reward instead of telling them that the nanny state's going to be there for 3 more years and you got to wear a mask forever. People don't want to hear it. There's no science behind it.
Well, let me just state for the record that masks are not theater. Masks are protective. And we
have immunity there, theater. If you already have immunity, you're wearing a mask to give comfort to others. You're not wearing a mask because of any science.
I totally disagree with you.
There you go. Anthony Fauci, who got a verbal flogging from none other than Dr. Senator Rand Paul. Right there.
Dr.
He
Fauci,
said,
if you could respond.
where is your evidence that anybody that's been vaccinated or had COVID can spread the disease? And he could not come up with any. Rand Paul pressed him on it, and he double talked, tap danced, did the verbal side shuffle, and then said anything but, oh, well, I don't agree with that because I'm Dr. Anthony Fauci and I said so. It's absolutely incredulous of what's going on. Fauci first said masks don't work. Then masks were going to save us all. You got to wear them. Then you got to wear 2, 3, 4 masks on that. And again, when asked by Dr. Senator Rand Paul, where's your evidence of people who have the vaccine or have had COVID-19 that they should be wearing a mask? They're immune. There's no evidence there. What's the excuse for that? Other than the only thing Fauci said, well, basically because I said so. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people that should be in jail. Dr. Anthony Fauci should be in jail. And those that herald him, put him on a pedestal, say, oh, Dr. Anthony Fauci, his word is gospel. He's nothing but a provocateur, disinformation agent. No matter what the motivation is behind this, you should not be listening, in my opinion, to Dr. Anthony Fauci for any reason. Because there is nothing behind it. It's like with Gavin Newsom, when he had to present evidence in court of why the emergency lockdowns, executive orders to shut down schools. The judge ruled the evidence was old, misrepresented, and arbitrary, and really had nothing to do with issuing the executive order. That's why Judge Cynthia Freeland put a temporary restraining order in North County schools in San Diego, and hopefully that ruling can be applied across California, are able to be open. We have a little recall effort going on. Signatures, yesterday was the last day, dead drop day, they had to file them. The recallgavin2020.com folks have released over 2.1 million signatures have been turned in. That's about 30% over the amount they need. They need about 1.5 million. So it should, barring some really, really, really good shenanigans, and don't put it past, because this is Gavin Newsom in the state of California, 2/3 majority in the state houses. California Democrat, every statewide office Democrat. Don't pull out all the stops. Remember, I told you, watch for those box of ballots to be appearing on after November 3rd. Well, we brought out before last week the tale of two governors. Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, Gavin Newsom in California. Now again, CNN is probably not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy. With Jake Tapper, Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, and the crew over there have been decidedly against Trump, against anything that isn't far center left. This is a report on Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida and his response to COVID over the last year. They say it deserves a second look, and I think they're right.
All he could to keep Florida open, and is now getting a second look. So what are the facts? Jeff Zeleny is out front.
If you look at what's happening in South Florida right now, I mean, this place is booming. It would not be booming if it was shut down.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is standing unabashedly tall.
Los Angeles isn't booming. New York City's not booming. It's booming here because you can live like a human being.
A year after the pandemic began, Florida is not only back in business, it's been in business. And the governor's gamble to take a laissez-faire approach to coronavirus appears to be paying off, at least politically, at least for now. Florida ranks about in the middle of all states on coronavirus metrics. More than 32,000 people have died of COVID-19, and the state's per capita death rate ranks 24th. New York is far worse, and California only slightly better, despite stringent lockdowns.
While so many other states kept locking people down over these many months, Florida lifted people up.
DeSantis is standing out among governors on the front lines of the coronavirus fight, a new measure for politicians of all stripes. He is not facing a potential recall like California Governor Gavin Newsom, under investigation like New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, or being second-guessed for lifting a statewide mask mandate like Texas Governor Greg Abbott. DeSantis refused to implement one of those in the first place. And Florida's unemployment rate is 4.8%, compared to 6.8 in Texas, 8.8 in New York, and 9 in California.
When he went into office, I wasn't sure what was to expect, but he didn't do anything to hurt me as a business owner or me as a Floridian. So, fine with me.
Tom Golden didn't have much of an opinion on DeSantis a year ago. But with his St. Petersburg bar and restaurant not only surviving but thriving, he credits the governor. Even as a new test for Florida is looming with spring breakers crowding beaches, so far the state has weathered the pandemic stronger than most experts expected.
Is it the disaster that some people predicted it would have been?
No, I think everything deserves context. What I'd love to ask about Florida.
There you go. Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, did not lock down his state, did not mandate masks. He said, I'm going to let the people of Florida live like human beings. He said, you will not have them live like human beings. If we had shut down the state, he said, we're going to lift people up, not tear them down. Florida is the antithesis of New York and California. Which has 4.8% unemployment. New York at 8.8 and California at 9, almost double. Spring break did not create an outbreak. As you heard, the restaurant owner that stayed open during this whole year, like almost every restaurant in Florida, and was operating, no marked difference in COVID spread between Florida and California. On top of that, look at their economy. They are booming. California is in a state of disrepair. And it doesn't look like it's going to turn around anytime soon. You get to this point, and it's really sad. I want to get to the bottom part of this on that because it was really telling. See if we can roll it up here.
How states handle the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, is still being written as COVID cases rage on. But Aaron, talking to so many voters here, but to one Floridian last night who said her grandchildren in California have not attended school for more than a year. She found herself grudgingly praising Governor DeSantis, not a fan initially, but said it is good that Florida has been reopened.
A grandmother.
He's finally asleep.
California. And her grandchildren there who've been locked down, haven't been attending schools. Well, Florida kids had, and the damage it has done. And reluctantly, she said she had to praise Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, I'm sure I'm going to take some brickbats for this. But it has to be said. Because this is the difference between California or the nation or Florida or most any other state. Women have voted far more for the left, for the Gavin Newsoms, the Andrew Cuomos, the Joe Bidens, versus the Ron DeSantises, Kristi Noems, and Donald Trump. It's a fact. Why that grandmother would reluctantly give Ron DeSantis credit for keeping her state open, while she's watching her grandkids suffer under Gavin's gulag. She should be broadcasting it to the hills. Why I've said we need to nationalize this election, this recall election in California. Because as I've said, don't let the cancer of California spread across the 50 states. For all of you naysayers, or that this was floating around on the old World Wide Web, I'm not an extremist. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I didn't storm the Capitol. I do not subscribe to QAnon. But I absolutely believe it's time to recall Newsom. Yes, it is. 100%. No other way to go. Because this is the other consequence of what happens when you elect the Joe Bidens and then they put ones in power as Health and Human Services Director, as Joe Biden says, here we go.
I'm really proud of this group. For Secretary of Health and Education Service, I nominated Javier Baccaria. Javier Becerra, excuse me.
Good old Javier Baccaria, otherwise known as Javier Becerra, was a congressman from California, I think assembly member, and then Jerry Brown picked him out of the air and appointed him Attorney General. He didn't even know he was up for the appointment. But Joe Biden puts one of the most radical, off the deep end, nuts as Health and Human Services Director for the United States of America. Take you back, when we, back to 2018, he had been appointed that Attorney General of California and wrote, we had the repeal of the gas tax and put it on the ballot. Javier Becerra was in charge of writing the title and summary on said voting when it was going to come up in 2018. Courts, the ballot title and summary was so one-sided, it was taken to court, and this is what was put up in Breitbart. Once the ballot initiative had gathered enough signatures to qualify, it was submitted to the Attorney General to receive title and summary. Baccaria, a partisan Democrat who has devoted his tenure in office to attacking President Donald Trump, supplied a title and summary in July whose clear intent was to confuse and discourage voters. Allen immediately announced that the referendum backers intended to sue. Baccaria's description said the referendum eliminates recently enacted road repair and transportation funding by repealing revenues dedicated to those purposes. It did not mention the word tax or fee at all. It also said that the referendum eliminates independent office audits and investigation, though the office never existed before the new law passed. The Sacramento judge was up in arms of that, threw it out of that. This is what they do. They will not stop. Javier Becerra, will not stop at anything. Now, I'm probably going to make some others mad too, or of this. But this guy is for abortion at any time, partial birth abortion, which that means if there's a toe of the baby still stuck in the mother, and even I think if they're completely out, they still can kill the kid. No, I'm not a 100%, and this gets off the deep end, I'm not a 100% abortion at any cost. I think there's some common ground, middle ground. I've said it before. 2/3 of this country supports after 5 months, no abortions. There is common ground in this discussion, and if we have a rational discussion on all sides, with the emotion toned way down, I think we could come to an agreement. May not be the best for everyone, but it will be much more workable than what we have today. On top of that, this is in the Daily Signal. Ben Sasse, Republican of Nebraska, who, mind you, voted to impeach President Trump on the second go-around, so he's not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy. He said this in the Daily Signal. Not one to mince words, Sasse issued a sharp rebuke following the committee hearing. This isn't complicated. In the middle of a deadly global pandemic, Americans want a Department of Health and Human Services to be focused on health and human services, not culture wars. If bullying nuns and trampling First Amendment rights could magically cure COVID, Baccaria would be qualified. He's not right for the job, and the Senate needs to reject the hyper-partisan nomination. Well, they all voted on party lines. Democrats passed it, 50-49. So he's in. Like I said, don't let the cancer of California spread across the nation. And that's what you're witnessing. This guy's had a radical environment. You want $5 a gallon gas? This guy was suing to block every oil drilling project in California, which probably has the biggest oil reserves in the whole nation. On top of that, he sued the Trump administration 110 times. I think so far they've only been successful at 23 of them, and most of them were on the environmental part, which our courts are nuts anyway about. And this is why. You want to you think this state is opening up? Coachella, Indio, Riverside County Fairgrounds. They get 100,000 people a year. They have the Coachella Music Festival. Then they have Stagecoach, which is the straight white males, country music loving folks. 2 weekends, big deal. They didn't have it last year. Well, we postponed it to April of 2021. Then Dr. Cameron Kaiser, Riverside County health official a couple months ago, canceled that. This is in Variety. Coachella Music Festival moving to 2022 sources. The Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival is moving from October 2022 to April of 2022, two industry sources with knowledge of the situation tell Variety. It is expected that the country music-themed Stagecoach Festival, which takes place the weekend after Coachella's 2 weekends, will move as well. You think this state is opening up? You think Riverside County is opening up? You will be lucky if you get Stagecoach in April of 2022. 2 years. They have now, or it appears, the sources said, the October date is being canceled. They keep moving it. They moved it for last year from April to October. And they canceled it, moved it to April of this year, canceled it again. Now it appears, according to Variety magazine, sources are telling them it's going to be canceled in the October run and moved to April of 2022. Mind you, Stagecoach is all outside. Mind you, the sharing of stuff and spreading when you're outdoors and everything else is far, 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 far less of COVID-19 or practically any other virus, flu, or anything is diminished greatly. Yet, we still have an absolutely incredulous lockdown. It's continuing. Our officials will not let go of this power grab, and it's very, very, very sad. We'll be joining KMET, the Mighty Met, here in a couple of minutes or so. But it's absolutely ridiculous. There you go. You've got Coachella mood. You really thought, you think this opening, like the roller coasters. Oh, you go to Disney. Magic Mountain said we're going to be the first to open up here. Well, you can't scream on the roller coasters. How in the hell? First place, how in the hell are you going to do that? And at 70 miles an hour, and you're screaming, and oh yeah, that COVID's going to get right into everybody else as it's going by you at 70 freaking miles an hour. You're probably holding your breath at that point anyway. So what danger of it? That is the absurdity of what we are going through in
20 seconds. Do you need me to play the music?
I've got it.
Okay, cool. Here we go.
Daily is on the air. Following is a pre-recorded program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
That comes on every Monday through Friday, and despite what it said the first, I hope, we're live on KMET, the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire on the aforementioned AM band, joining our vast video audience on Newswire, on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, on this thankful Thursday on that. Thanking our lucky stars. We do have a few governors like Kristi Noem and Ron DeSantis, like we pointed out in the earlier video productions of that. Tale of two, they did that. They said Ron DeSantis, CNN no less. Go back and watch the video. CNN said we got to take a second look at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Opened up her state. Didn't lock down. Didn't shut restaurants down. Back and forth and everything else. The exact opposite. Half the unemployment. Their economy is booming. Like Ron DeSantis said, we are lifting people up, not locking them down. There wouldn't be a boom in Florida, as a CNN report, if they would have followed the New York, the evil twin governors, Andrew Cuomo and Governor Gav Gulag Newsom, in this whole deal. We're twice the unemployment. We're still locked down, as we just did in Variety magazine. I've got it here. They're reporting as, let me see if I can roll it up there. Yes, Coachella Music Festival moving to 2022, sources say. You'll be lucky. You'll be if the Coachella Music Festival and Stagecoach go on in April of 2022, which you're going to be very lucky if they do. It will be 2 years since they've had that. And outdoor concerts, or let's put it this way. Of the 100,000 that show up there per day, Most of them are probably under the influence of stuff that would probably kill any viruses that came in contact with them in the first place. And as we had Dr. Rand Paul, senator from Kentucky, at a hearing today with Dr. Anthony Fauci, who said, where's the evidence that somebody's been vaccinated that they're spreading any of this stuff? And Fauci tap dance and come around and, well, this and that, and you're misinterpreting that study or whatever. Dr. Rand Paul said, no, I'm not. He says, you have no evidence. You're whistling Dixie. And what you're doing is shaming people to do something that they shouldn't be doing. Shouldn't have. There is no reason for them to wear a mask if they had it or had the vaccine. What's the end game? I'm waiting to see on the Coachella thing, because Dr. Cameron Kaiser, the Riverside County health official, canceled it again. They moved it from April of last year to October. Then he canceled it. Then he canceled in January the April rendition. Now it's being reported, as you see in Variety magazine, sources are saying the October one is getting pulled. I doubt if it's the concert people that are doing it, because they're starving to death. I think it's mentioned in the article, $30 billion has been lost in having no concerts just in the last year, and I don't think that's counting this year going on. So, this is where we're at. You think we're going to open up anytime soon? You think we're going to be back to the way it was? You think your schools are going to be open? You're going to have to fight tooth and nail. You're going to have to recall that complete idiot, Gavin Newsom. I'm going to roll it up again, and I'm going to say it for those of you joining on KMET. This is something that's been floating around in the social media. I'm not an extremist. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I didn't storm the Capitol. I don't subscribe to QAnon, but I absolutely believe it's time to recall Newsom. As we said, the update from the recall, Gavin2020.com, folks, 2.1 million signatures. We should be on our way. They have, I think, until the end of April, sometime in the end of April, to certify all the signatures, send it in the Secretary of State, and call the election. If 1.5 million signatures are good, and then we're on our way up to go, and it's onward and upward. See if we can get rid of, like I said, that piece of a Newsom. We're going to see if we can get a Jenny Merrifield up from the North County folks on that. And we'll see if we can get an update on opening schools in California. Because there's nothing else more important probably than that as we move forward on this stuff. Because we've got to get our kids back in school. Yeah, this is Roy Blecker from KMET. You ready to go on? Okay, hang on. We have on the line Jenny Merrifield from the North County Parents Association on that to give us an update on their case. They won it to get kids back in class 5 days a week, along with the good news that we've turned in 2.1 million signatures to recall Gavin Newsom, and that looks like it's going to flow. All this has a lot of implications, and our audience has just been eating this stuff up out here because there's school districts out here that are still Moreno Valley Unified, for one of them that I've heard, are still insisting that they're going to do distance learning, not opening up. So to talk about this and many other subjects, hopefully, Jenny Merrifield, welcome to iNewsWire with Roy.
Well, thank you, Roy. It's nice to be with you and your listeners.
We had, it was a stunning victory, I thought, of how you were able to sue Gavin Newsom in court, and Judge Cynthia Freeland ruled, the evidence you presented, Gavin Newsom, was weak, misrepresented, old, arbitrary. So, basically, the way I took it, she was saying, why did you even have a response to this case if this is what you were bringing? But fill us in on that, Jenny.
Well, first of all, putting together a lawsuit against the state is serious business, and we contracted with a really professional firm. They put together very strong arguments. We put together a very strong list of or collection of evidence that really proves across the country that thousands of schools have opened safely using basic safety measures like masks and symptom checking on arrival at school, hand washing. 3 feet of distance is, as the CDC is now, I think, a little sheepishly admitting, is no different than 6 feet, but it is all the difference in terms of bringing students back to school full time. But I think most importantly, the judge was extremely thorough. She had read every word of all of the filings, both for the plaintiffs and the defense. And, I think she did her homework and ruled correctly that an in-person education is the prevailing standard of education in the state of California. And students in California are entitled to that in-person instruction. Distance learning is not the prevailing standard. And so since it is possible to reopen schools safely at 3 feet of distance with hand washing and masks, then schools really are obligated to fulfill the constitutional right for children to attend school. So we were pleased with that. It was a temporary, I just want to point out, it was a temporary restraining order. We had applied for an ex parte hearing to get an emergency hearing, really, because so much harm is being done on a day-to-day basis. We felt that it was important that to judge a temporary ruling on this. A fuller hearing will be held on April 1st when we request a preliminary. That will carry us until, or whatever her ruling will be then, will carry us until or unless there's a trial.
We've had, teachers, guests, experts from all across the country. We just had a clip from CNN that highlighted Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, which kept the schools open. And for schools, private schools that have had no masks, to public schools and everything in between, some with masks, some without. Like you said, there is, and Rand Paul pointed out today at a public hearing, there is no evidence of this. There is, especially among school kids, there is no evidence that this stuff is spread. There is no evidence anywhere that's credible that this is. I think when Gavin Newsom and the state of California had to prove in a fair hearing under oath and under cross-examination, their case failed. They had nothing. They tried to make something up, trying to throw a Hail Mary, thinking it was work. Fortunately, as you said, from the good preparation from your folks and your attorneys at North County Parents Association, the judge could see right through the state of California and Gavin's Gulag's executive orders of being totally bogus.
Well, the judge is a tremendously professional officer of the court, and she did her homework. She read the statutes, she read the framework, she read all of the arguments for and against. And I think in particular, she took notice of the declarations from families who, had shared their stories about the significant harm their children had experienced during, this long-term school closure, and the idea that schools should be closed in order to meet the highest standard of safety just does not outweigh the incredible damage that has been done to students academically, socially, and emotionally. So when all the arguments are heard, we think that she ruled properly, and professionally. It's a good day for children in the state of California because the courts are cutting through all of the bureaucracy, the labyrinthian bureaucracy that was established to direct or prevent schools from reopening. And that is a good thing. We have justice in California, and I'm hopeful. I just got a tweet from someone about Turlock Unified School District. They are opening today as a result of this. See if I can find it. As a result of this particular lawsuit, and I think that's really significant.
Yes, and that's the main thing because since this story broke on that, people have been calling and asking, looking for, because as far as my understanding, the judge said your school district could open 5 days a week, pretty much no restrictions, whatever, going forward with it. And people are just jumping on this trail for school districts that are either hesitant or making excuses, and this is great. Turlock School District is actually using this case for the impetus of reopening their schools up now. This is absolutely fantastic news.
Well, let's be clear, though, to be really clear, the judge did not say no restrictions. The judge said reasonable restrictions. And, what we've all agreed is that, compliance with mask wearing right now is completely appropriate. So hand washing is appropriate. 3 feet of distance is appropriate. The symptom checking is appropriate. You don't want kids coming to school with a fever or a bad cough. They should be tested to be sure that they don't have any the virus or the flu for that matter. And then if someone does test positive, it is important for a school district to be able to quarantine that person and then any other people that they know were close to that person within, for more than 15 minutes. So, those are strategies that most public health departments view as reasonable and effective and cost-effective for schools to implement. When schools do that, and this is what's been proven across the United States, is that when schools do implement those strategies, that there have been virtually no incidences of transmission from students to teachers and remarkably small amounts of transmission within schools. It does happen. We can't absolutely eliminate 100% of the risk, but the spread of the virus isn't significant within those schools. And certainly, being safe in school is better than not having schools closed. So the community spread is much greater than it is within a school. Teachers are actually safer in schools that are following these safety protocols than they would be going to Costco.
And it really, we've had many people say the same thing on that, and there's even been studies that said teachers are at the worst case scenario are at no more risk being in the classroom than practically anything else. So it made no sense of any of this, not for, of that. And remind you, this was, this started a year ago with 2 weeks of lockdown to so our hospitals aren't overwhelmed, and here we are a year later having to go to court, still fighting this thing, like when there's plenty of examples that there is, there is no reason why schools cannot be operating 5 days a week under normal classroom instruction for that. And the amount of damage that this has done, not only to society, but to kids in specific with the rise in suicides, the damage to their education, their future earnings power. One study, that was just of last year in October that we had, said that it was going to cost the students $400,000 over their lifetime in lost earnings for the lack of education they've got. And that was just in the first 6 months of this deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the damage that's been done, there's some very significant trauma that kids have experienced, and our district attorney has laid that out in a 7-page letter to the governor twice, 2 versions of it. There's very significant harm done to many students who don't have supervision at home or in environments where they're, targets for trafficking and gang enlistment, drugs, and the like. But there are also emotional and social damages that are being done. There are developmental stages kids go through when they're at school with their peers that they've missed. And for example, middle schoolers, just the opportunity to start socializing, they've missed that. And so it's going to be an awkward reentry for some of them. But I'll tell you, there's so many children who you would look at and say they're doing fine. But as one parent told me, he knows otherwise. He's at home with his kids. He's a work-at-home dad, and he had a little cohort of 15 kids in his house pretty much the entire time schools were closed. And he would tell you that he recognized that these children are crumbling from the inside out. They look fine on the outside. Their grades are okay. They're doing their homework. But there's something on the inside that's missing. And I think that is one of the biggest tragedies really affected by this pandemic and being shut out of their schools. We should never, ever do this again. And that's why the Parent Association formed. We, really a platform for helping parents be good advocates, strong and effective advocates in their school. We help them get organized and trained to be good advocates, to partner with school districts to put policies in place that put students first.
We can all recover from economic stuff, this and that, but this, to me, that is the saddest thing in this whole this whole thing is like you said, you just look at kids everywhere, and you can just sense that something's missing, that's just not right, even though however they're they may be doing their home, doing their work, on top of that, but you can just tell there's just I don't know how to explain it, but
yeah, one of the things that to me was the most disturbing observation about this whole argument, the whole debate, is the other side is absolutely devoid of compassion or acknowledgement of the damage that students are experiencing. There's just no comment on that. And, when you're in charge of a school, I would think that the first thought you have when schools shut down is, what is this going to do to the kids? But we haven't heard any of that. And to me, that is depressing. We need schools that are compassionate and acknowledge that the decisions they make have a dramatic impact, not even just on the kids, but on the families that they serve. And for that reason, I believe that parents have to reengage in a meaningful way in their school districts.
I couldn't agree more with that. Got about a minute left. I'll let you wrap it up and plug your organization if they want to support you, maybe get some help in opening up their schools. Tell them how they can do it.
Well, absolutely. You can visit our website at www.parentassociation.org. There's a page there you can navigate to that has a lot of information about the lawsuit. If you're interested and you want to contact an attorney in your area, we're going to put together some bullet points on that. But I would say to parents who are listening, try to engage at a high level, listen to the board meetings, network with parents who are interested in making sure that students' needs are put first in our public schools. That is not an adversarial role, that is a partnering role. And frankly, these are our schools, these are our kids, and we should have a voice in how things are decided. But I really am grateful to you for letting me talk today, Roy. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
There you go. Thanks for being on, Jenny Merrifield, and we'll do it again real soon.
Thanks very much. Have a good afternoon.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
That was Jenny Merrifield from the North County Parents Association giving us an update and giving you some of the tools and how you can get your schools open. That North County decision, which is Carlsbad, Encinitas, and up in that area, you just heard Breaking news, Turlock School District is using that to start opening up 5 days a week. Sometimes when you're deep in despair, you're looking at all this stuff that was going on, and you're thinking, well, you've heard, the courts are against us, and they're doing that, and the politicians won't do that. Well, we got a victory, and now it's starting to spread like wildfire. We got Gavin Newsom, looks like he's digging his own grave. If he wouldn't have put the lockdowns in, they were the recall Gavin folks were almost they had filed this in about June, going through signatures. I think in December, they had about 600,000, and they went to ask the judge. They said, we need extension because of COVID-19, and we can't sit out in front of the stores and collect signatures. We'll extend it to March 17th, 2021. And it wasn't days later, the infamous French Laundry incident where Gavin Newsom, who had told you can't be with family, you're going to kill them if you associate with them, was with 22 of his, not friends, handlers or bribe givers at $1,000 a plate for drinks and dinner at the French Laundry with the lobbyists, and that he was dining with people that were not a part of his immediate family while he was telling you not to do the same thing. And man, we went from 600,000 signatures to yesterday, according to the Gavin, turned in over 2.1 million signatures. That's 30% over. They got to have about 1.5 million good ones. We'll see. It'll take till towards the end of April. The Board of Registers, Secretary of State has to certify this, check all the signatures, get it out. But it looks, barring some they're going to have to stand on their head to get this one thrown out. But nothing. This is California. They're going to, as you see Gavin's, he's trying to swing. Oh, it's the Republicans. 38%, I think, were Democrats and independents. In L.A. County, reports are, I think, in the California Globe, of the 150,000 that signed it in L.A. County, 52% Democrats in Los Angeles County signed the recall petition to oust Gavin Newsom and get us out of his gulag. And nothing could be better than if this happens, and it can't happen soon enough. We'll be back tomorrow on a Fast, Furious, Fabulous Friday, as we do, ending out the week. On that, we'll bring you more, hopefully good news like we did today. So sometimes it didn't look like it, but as they say, there is light at the end of this tunnel. So, mandatory hours till then. See ya! We're getting a little funky, but I'll show you tomorrow.
Okay, no problem.
Bye.
Bye.